a half an hour outside of Tampa.
Oh, okay. You were north. I
Yeah.
started out in Homestead
Okay.
and all through that Coral Springs, and then I finally moved. You ready?
Bring the noise. Bring the noise. Good evening to each and every one of you, and welcome to another rendition of Music Lovers LTD, our live Friday night podcast. I'm telling you right now, where is the year going so fast? Here it is, Halloween. Next it'll be Thanksgiving, and then it'll be New Year's. We're just gonna skip right over Christmas. It's going so daggone fast. You know what I'm saying? All the holidays are like right here, and this is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful time of the year. Listen, we have a guest with us tonight that is just like a Superman in this business. When I mention his name to some of the other people that I talked to, they say, "Oh yeah, he's talking," and he looks like Jeffrey Osborne on our screen. Ladies and gentlemen, bang your hands together and welcome Mr. Michael Bell. Mike, come on in, brother. How you doing?
Oh, thank you, brother. I'm doing well, and I trust that you guys are well.
Yes, we're getting ready for Turkey Day. That's what we're doing.
Okay, and you're well. Yeah.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Listen, we want to jump right into this. Last night on my radio show, I talked about you obviously promoting the fact that you were going to be on tonight, and I promoted the fact that you were part of a group that did a monster song here in the Philadelphia tri-state area. The song is obviously "Cheaters Never Win," and the group was Love Committee. Tell us about, before we get to Love Committee, tell us about your beginning, because we're going to go through a whole hour of great stuff with you, from the film capital, from the recording capital. I mean, we're just going to go everywhere. So just tell us, if you would, Michael, how you got started and how you became Michael Bell.
Well, how I got started, like during the era when I was coming up, we talking 60s, you had a lot of like neighborhood vocal groups, right? In fact, I started on my street. There were about probably 8 singers on East 139th and Kinsman. Anyway, I got together with 2 of the guys, Michael Kemp and Alfred Andrews, and when I was 11. And we used to sing Beatles songs because the Beatles were popular at that time. And then around 63, that's the Temptations came out with "You Got to Earn It," and I forgot what was on the other side, but I remember "You Got to Earn It" because I tried to sing the lead, which was Eddie, which I failed at doing that. So we got together with another guy who moved onto our street, and this guy's name was Paul Woodall. And what was interesting about Paul could arrange harmonies, and Paul was like maybe a few years older than me. So in those days, we were doing a cappella. But Paul had the knack for being able to create extra harmonies to compensate for that. So we were doing that, and I moved out of the neighborhood, moved to another neighborhood, and met a guy named Harold Beverly, who was a monster of a singer. I mean, you know, in those days, the popular group was like the OJs and the Temptations, and Harold was the kind of guy that could sing David Ruffin stuff and equally do Eddie Levert as well. He was a monster, so you had him. And then I happened to find something that I can sing, not trying, but the Temptations, the year, I remember, I think it was like maybe 65, they came out with a live album called Temptations Live.
Yes.
And there was a song on it. It was Don't Look Back, but it was a live version.
Oh, man. Wonderful version. Great version.
It was a live version. So there was some older guys, you know, that had a group, and we went to sing for them one day, and Hillis Foote was in this group called the Mystics. And he said to me, he said, "You sound like Paul." And, you know, Paul, you know, I didn't know who Paul was. So he told me, he said, "Go and get the Meet the Temptations album." And that's Paul was the original lead singer. So I started singing, and I said, "Yeah, I kind of sound like, if it's love that you're running from, there's no hiding place." You know, so we had like a little something there. And the talent show, my first performance was a talent show at Alexander Hamilton. And we did 2 songs. And when we got, which Don't Look Back was our closer. When we got to Don't Look Back, the reaction of the audience like when we started, they stood up. And as I got more and more into the song, they got more excited to the point before I finished, they stood up and all the girls bum rushed the stage. And it just so happened that I happened to go down on one knee, and I didn't know our time was up. And they actually had closed the curtain on us. You know what I mean? The rest of the guys, they were like off. You know, they were trying to get us off, but I was so into what I was doing. Yeah, I was just doing it. And so I was out there by myself and I didn't know it. But the girls, they grabbed me and they almost pulled me forth onto the floor. You know, it was dangerous, but it was exciting to me. And the assistant principal, Mr. Noah, happened to reach out through the curtain and pull me up. And the rest of the guys, I didn't, you know, I'm looking like, what happened? Because I just saw a curtain to come through a curtain. And the rest of the guys ran up to me and they was like, man, did you see that? Like it was planned. And the reaction said to me, and I think maybe I was about 14, between 12 and 14, I thought somebody needed to hear us. That's what I thought. And I really wanted, I didn't want to go to school anymore. I wanted to be a singer. You know, after that acknowledgement, you know. So the Temptations came to Cleveland. And at that time, they were playing a supper club. They were going to do a 10-day engagement. So I got up enough courage to call the venue, and a guy answered the phone, and he was like, man, they're not staying here. The show was over. He said, they're staying down the street at the Holiday Inn. I said, oh, the Holiday Inn down the street? He was like, yeah, at 36. So I called. And in those days, they just, you know, they wouldn't question you. They, you know, hook you up to the room. And I asked for Eddie Kendricks because I had studied the albums of the Temptations for so long, and it was mostly Eddie and Paul that I got a vibration from, you know. So I called Eddie, and my voice was like as heavy as it is now when I was like 12. And I guess he thought I was an adult. But anyway, I said, Eddie, man, we sing your music. People love us. You know, I'm giving them the whole spiel. And he says, well, where are you guys singing? And I said, well, we're singing in my mother's basement. And he said, well, I'm not coming out to any mother's basement, but you guys can come down here. So I was like, man, and interesting enough, you know, when you're a teenager, you know, you have your language and your cool vernacular and all that. And he said to me, don't bring no cooties down here. And that hit me because, you know, during that time, you know, cooties were like the gangsters, the undesirables. So I said, Dad, Eddie knows what we know. You know what I mean? So we had a guy that happened to have been in our group who was older, but he was out now, but he was back and forth. So we had to be sure we didn't take him. But the next day I told them, and they didn't believe me. So I said, look, go downstairs, get on. Are we there? I lost you for a minute. Are we still here?
Yeah, well, we got you audio, but I can't see you.
Keep talking. Okay, well, let's keep going then.
Absolutely.
So anyway, what I did, I told them, let's call and you guys will know I know where they're staying. So I called and Eddie wasn't there, so I started calling the rest of the guys. And finally, I don't remember who we got, but we got somebody. And they came out of the basement from the extension. Man, we get the Temptations. We're going to sing for the Temptations. And so probably a day before we got ready to go down, I called Eddie again, and the phone call kind of went like this. Hello, who is this? And this is Bill. Don't come down here, damn it. You can call, you bugged everybody in the group. You know, Eddie, and I'm apologizing. Eddie, I'm sorry, man. I didn't know, because I thought, my perspective was we got together and we loved to sing together. We would be on the bus singing and all that. But when he said that to me, I felt something else. And I felt like I had gotten them in trouble. But he said, look, you could come down here, but if I hear you called anybody else in this group, don't come down here. So I didn't call anybody else. And I didn't tell them that almost happened. So when we got there, we sung for Eddie. And interesting enough, when I sang Don't Look Back Live, he jumped out of his chair and immediately ran out of the room. and the rest of the
wow.
guys were surprised. And I had a feeling like he went to get Paul, but Paul wasn't there. And then Paul came a little later, and I was doing the choreography at that time. And I knew Paul was the choreographer. You know, Eddie was encouraging me to do the choreography.
Right.
And I was nervous. And I guess Paul sensed it, and he said, yeah, do the choreography. So I started doing the choreography, and about maybe 10 seconds in, he said, we got a damn thief in the room. And then I stopped in my tracks, you know, because the way he said it, and Paul had like a poker face all the time, and he had on Ray-Bans, you know, and I didn't know what it was, so I stopped, because it wasn't complimentary to me.
Right.
And he sensed that, and he said, okay, they can dance, but can they sing? And when all the while I was singing Don't Look Back, Eddie was like ripping him, like, man, he sounds like you and all that. So that started my years with Eddie and Paul until they left here.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. That is awesome. That's really. I know that's a memory until you close your eyes, which certainly we're not hoping for anytime soon, that you will always cherish and always remember.
Yeah, I tell my friends the story. Like, Mike, you got to write a book, man. You know, but it is something that's like a part of me, and I feel like I'm an extension of Eddie and Paul. You know,
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Paul was going to groom me. He was going to send for me to come to New York before the incident happened with Paul. But mostly what I got from Eddie and Paul was my world outlook. And then Eddie always said that what he liked about me, that I was a very perceptive young man. So a lot of questions that I had at a young age was concerning industry. When I look back, I was mature for my age. But Eddie had asked us to come back down because he wanted some people to hear us. And we came back that day, and we couldn't find Eddie. And we walked around for a while, and then when Eddie came back, we had, you know, we saw David, and he was like, "Where were you, Eddie?" And Eddie was like, "I was rehearsing." I said, "But we saw David," and he said, "Little brother, I rehearse every day, so I learned dedication."
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So
that's a great thing. That's a good thing, man.
Right, and that was it. And so we were walking Eddie to work, because the club they were playing was right down the street, and before we entered the club, there was a hotel before you get to the club called the Sahara. And it was a horn. We had the sound of a horn, and a guy gets out of a cab and goes, "Hey, Eddie." You know, and out of respect, we stayed on the side of the street that we were on while Eddie went over. And then he motioned for us to come over for a little bit. And he introduced us to Levi Stubbs of the Four Tops. He was getting out of the cab, going upstairs. So he instructed for us to go upstairs with Levi. We went upstairs for Levi. We sung for Levi, and Levi took all our numbers. And on the way out, one of the guys said, "Hey, look, there's Berry Gordy and Diana Ross." Now I have on my father's double-breasted seersucker suit with the white shirt and the white shoes, looking like I'm from Panama, but I'm looking like an adult, and I'm trying to be impressive. So I go up, "How you doing, Mr. Gordy?" I shake Gordy's hand, and I grab Diana's hand, and I kissed her on the cheek. I just went, "How you doing, Diana?" I'm not thinking about Diana Ross, the Supremes. I'm thinking about Berry Gordy. Let's get in the music business. You know what I mean? Right. So he bidded her farewell, and on our way to the elevator, he asked us, he said, "What are you guys doing here?" And we told him everything. So he asked us to sing, and we blasted out. And he went, okay, not so loud. So he said, "Look, call back to the hotel and ask for Robert Bullard, and tell him I said to give you guys an audition." So we're going to be on all time. We thank you, Mr. Gordy. So on the day of our audition, we walk in, and it's Mr. Bullard, and it's a young lady there, a beautiful lady. And he introduces her as Florence, what was her name? No, Cindy Birdsong was her name. And Cindy was going to be taking Florence's place, which kind of broke my heart, because as a young man, I thought, groups would always be together.
Right.
And we did our audition, and I called back in a couple of days, And he said to us, he said to me, he said, Motown said that you guys have a home with us upon graduation. And I got mad. Man, what about Stevie Wonder? He didn't graduate. He started laughing. He started laughing. He was like, man, that's different. So, but he said, whenever you come to Detroit, get in touch with me. And I did, and we did hook up. Yeah.
That's awesome. Great story, man. Great story. One of the many. One of the many. Ladies and gentlemen, we're doing the Friday night podcast, and our special guest is Michael Bell. We're having some video concerns. He was with us a minute ago, and then it just went back. But we're continuing on anyway. At least you can hear the story. Hopefully, we'll be able to get the visual back and be able to talk to him soon. I'm going to back up, Michael, and let Drew and Diane come in and talk to you. Diane, come on in.
Now, how did you become a part of Love Committee?
Okay. The OJs, they had a production company called Stone Cold. And the young man that I kind of grew up with, Terry Stubbs, was a part of that production company. And one of his projects was the Love Committee project. Now, before I get to that, let me tell you a very interesting story about Love Committee. This was like, 75, 76. I was singing with the group of the Platters. And we were playing this main house in Monroeville, Pennsylvania, called the Holiday House. Is where we were playing, and on the break, it was a dinner theater. And on the break, at that time, disco music was big, and they had the big disco floor, with the lights and everything. But I would go in there, and they would play this song, and I liked the song, and I went up to the DJ and I said, "Who is the group?" And it was Love Committee. So every time I would go in, I would ask, and he would play Love Committee. So we flash forward to a few years later, Terry calls me and said, "Mike, I had a tape of your voice, and these guys possibly want you in the group." I had never mentioned Love Committee to anyone. And he called me. But what I had done, it was an article in the Jet that I saw that this guy, Jim Tyrell, who was like a former vice president over the black division at CBS, was getting a label like $13 million. So, and I saw Love Committee. I was like, yeah, I love the group. So Terry called me and he said the group was Love Committee. And I went up and I became a member of Love Committee.
Wow. Wow. Well, you came through at the right time because that song did wonders here in Philadelphia.
Well, see, Cheaters was before me.
Right.
Cheaters, we did Tyrell. What song did we have? I don't know how well it charted, and the company didn't last long. It was just called Love Committee. It was a great album, but Cheaters was the song I used to ask to listen to when I would go to the disco.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I told the guys about that. They couldn't believe it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Good question, DD. Come on in, Drew.
Hey, Michael, this is Andrew. Thank you for having us. Thank you for being on our show.
Thank you, Drew.
That Love Committee album, I've been listening to that most of the afternoon. And boy, that was a bomb album. I'm surprised it didn't get as big as it was before. But you mentioned Cheaters, but there was also another like minor hit off of that album called Law and Order.
Yeah, Law and Order in This Land. Yeah, we used
to. That's a fantastic song.
That was really the song that was popping in the discotheque, too.
Yeah.
We have law and order in this land. Yeah, that was a great song.
Mm-hmm. Were you part of that recording?
No, I came after.
Oh, you came after that. Okay.
Yeah, they only had 2 albums. That was the first one, and I came on the second album. Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that album?
I don't believe the record company lasted 2 years. But we were on that label as well as Chocolate. Patrice Chocolate Banks, who was with Graham Central Station.
Right.
Oh,
yeah, both of us was on that label. It was called T Electric Records. Okay. If you look up Love Committee, you can find that, and it's just called Love Committee.
Okay. But that has no association with South Soul Records? I thought it was on South Soul. I thought that record, the album was from South Soul.
That one may have been the first one, but not the second one. The one that I was on was T Electric. But that may have been, because, Tyson was very busy in that Philadelphia scene. In fact, Tyson used to write with Norman Harris. Do you remember Norman Harris?
Absolutely.
Norman Harris was a producer at that time. In fact, Norman did Eddie Kendrick's Going Up in Smoke, He's a Friend, that album. And Norman also produced the Tramps' Disco Inferno.
Yes.
Yeah. So he and Tyson were partners. Tyson. Yeah, Ron Tyson.
Okay. Let's talk about your good question, Drew. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Let's talk about, if you would, Michael. Let's talk about your time with Sly, Slick, and the Wicked.
All right, Sly, Slick, and Wicked. We being candid about everything, right?
We sure are.
That's what it's about. It's about being transparent in these days. Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, the both of them, in fact, all of them. The original Wicked was Mark Saxon, so I knew all of them. All of them because we all had high groups, and I knew John because the guy I was talking about earlier, Paul Woodall, who could put the harmonies together. He and John were in a group together, so I had known John for a while. So Mark was out of the group, and they called me in, and I was in the group for 3 months. I left the group after that.
Okay.
Yeah, I had because I had been around Eddie, and I used to consider Eddie, and Eddie considered himself my big brother. I would always use Eddie as an advisor and look at them as a model what occurred, with them in the business. And I had already been on the road trying to get discovered before I got with Sly, Slick, and Wicked. And I remember calling Eddie and saying to Eddie that I was actually getting beat out here because, we would play engagements, and the club owner at the end of the engagement would say he didn't have our money. But I mean, the engagement was over at 2:30. I knew at 10:30 he knew he wasn't going to have the money. So I was aware of a lot of the shadiness that goes on in the business. So when I got with them, it took a minute to convince me, and I came out. And of course, the act pays all the expenses for the band. So you had a band out there, and then you had the producer. I'm like, why is the producer on the road if you're paying fares for everybody? But he also was an entertainer, and he opened up their show. But the night I got there, by me knowing the business, the smoke started as soon as I walked in. Oh, this is the new singer? Look at him. He stands like a singer, doesn't he? So that's the first smoke, for your ego, to get your ego pumped up. So I'm just, I'm still objective. I'm just listening. And the band that became the Daz Band, initially that band was called Bell Telefunk.
Okay.
And the Daz Band was born out of Bell Telefunk. Bell Telefunk was the band for Sly, Slick, and Wicked.
Okay.
So Johnny Reese was the keyboard player. So that night, I asked Johnny, I said, Johnny, how's the business? And Johnny said, oh, it's good. All right. I go to bed. The managers, they're waking me up at 6 o'clock talking about we got to leave because the band left us out on the road. So that was my first signal. Okay.
Wow.
All right. That's what's happening. So it went on and on for a while. I worked with the Sly, Slick, and Wicked, and I also told Slick, I said, man, listen, I'm going to question them about the business, and you listen. You got to keep up with it, because they're always saying, well, we had to pay this, we had to pay that. So after we got another band, I always stay close with the band. One of the guys called me, the new band, and he was like, Mike, we're getting ready to leave, man. We haven't been paid in 2 and 3 months. So they weren't paying anybody, the managers,
Right.
And in the 3 months, I made $37.50.
Wow. Wow.
Mm.
So I had to, I couldn't leave until we came off the road. We came back to Cleveland, and I think they had a recording session, and they called me to the recording session, and I told the manager I got drafted. And oh, you can still come to the session? I said, no, man, I got drafted. and here's what's funny. Terry Stubbs, the guy that was part of the OJ's production team, he
Right.
became wicked. He called me and I told him everything that was going on, but he said he could deal with it. So I said, cool, but I just want to be sure you know what you're dealing with. So he
Right.
he became wicked.
Right. Right. But you know what, Michael, the story that you're telling, and it certainly is gratifying to hear. But between Dee and Drew, myself, and some of the viewing audience, we've heard those stories so many times before. That you guys out there sweating, singing, stepping, and all that kind of stuff, go backstage and you're ready to get paid, and the promoter's gone, or the bottom line is there's no money for you. It's such a shame because we sitting out in front are the ones that are screaming and hollering and peeing ourselves and all that kind of stuff while you guys are just killing the show. And then we leave out of there and go talk about it for another week and a half. It's just it just at this age, it just seems to be a damn shame that this type of thing had to go on. And I'm talking about not only in Cleveland, but in Philadelphia, but in New Jersey, and down south, wherever it was. It just seemed that nobody had the respect that was due to you artists, who were on stage sweating, singing, stepping, and all of that kind of stuff. It's irritating. It really is irritating. Go ahead.
Well, the thing I've heard is said best that the entertainment business has more suppressives around it than anything.
Yeah.
That means more people that don't have anything to do with the arts at all that's reaping the money. But
Right.
as far as the talent goes, is this. And this is what they really have to be objective about. You can't become intoxicated with fame. You see what I'm saying? Because it's a business. That's really what it is. And if you go into it thinking other than that, you're going to be displeased because there's a lot of people that I know of, I don't want to say it right now, that have been successful, but they really didn't have any business in the business because of their personalities.
Okay.
Some of these people, it has, their demise, really.
Okay.
Really. And it's a rough business, and that's what I say. You have to have dedication.
Right.
For me, I've always considered myself an artist, so my obligation is to the public in terms of what I presented, not only in performance, but being an artist. It's important for artists to communicate what I think are fresher realities into the present realities to help further humanity. You know what I mean? That's an artist. That's why you get a Marvin Gaye and people like that. They're writing something that you need in your life. You know what I mean? That enhances your life. And that's an artist. Artists like that, they have to deal with the commercial and they deal with the sacrifice. But the people, the love of the people and the music is the thing. And often that gets taken advantage of.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that I can speak for Dee and Drew. We agree with you 100%. If you love something, like I love what I do. I love the music business, playing music. I love that. And so it's almost like, who was on last? Oh, Sam. Sam was on last week, and he said many times, we didn't play. Yes, we want to get paid. No question about it, because it's a job. But if I didn't get paid, you know what I'm saying? My payment would be to put on a record and watch you throw your head back and say, oh my God, I ain't heard that in 27 years, or whatever the case may be. That is my payment. That's my joy. That's my happiness on this thing. Yes, I do want to get the dollar bills because that's, it's a living. That's what I do.
Yeah,
but I'm
but
saying to what you're
your
saying is
passion.
basically the same thing.
It's your passion. See,
Exactly.
Passion is a very interesting thing, because to me, passion, when you have passion about something, it causes you to generate, to come up with it. And in effect, what's going on, your life force is getting charged up. So that's why it's such a reward. It's what it does for you on the inside.
Yes.
You see?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very well put.
Mhm.
Very well
Yeah.
put, Michael. Very well put. Very well put. Very well put. I appreciate that. Very well put.
Surely.
Let me we're gonna jump over to Drew in just a second, but let me say Sam the Golden Oldies Man is with us tonight. Lady D, Robin, Ramona, who is Diane Brown's niece, is with us. Former member of our group, Music Lovers LGT, Mr. Kevin Powell, celebrating a birthday.
Okay.
Karen Asper Jordan has joined us. All of you folks viewing us, again, let me tell you, we have Michael Bell here, and we having trouble with the video aspect. He was on earlier, it went off, so we're pressing on with the show anyway, because what they say in this business is the show must go on.
Well, let's do this. Well, let's add this to it. You don't see me, so just guess how I look. It's more fun to guess, but put me toward the good-looking part, okay?
I give you guys that are watching that can't see him. Let me give you a hint. Jeffrey Osborne. All right. Drew, come on in, Drew. Come on in.
Let me ask you a question. Did you mention Kevin Powell, the critic?
No. This is a Kevin Powell from here, from Chester, Pennsylvania. Somebody that I grew up with. I know he's celebrating a birthday.
All right, happy birthday, Kevin.
There you go. All right, Drew, go ahead.
So, Michael, I appreciate you talking about the frustrations, the pitfalls of the music industry. How were you able to sustain yourself during all those disappointments? Is my understanding that you also act and you've been in plays and whatnot. Can you talk about that a little bit for us?
Good question. Yeah.
When I was 21, well, I just had a knack, at you probably from the stories I tell you, to reach out to people to learn. And I was trying to reach out to Ben Vereen. And I ended up speaking with his road manager. And he was telling me how busy, Ben was. And he said, Mike, you seem like a nice young man. I want to tell you something. He said, in order to succeed, always look at yourself objectively. He said, do you know what I mean? And I really didn't. I said, no, I don't. And he said, well, look at yourself in the third person and guide yourself, and don't allow yourself to be consumed by people. And Michael, anything that you can lend your talent to while you're starting out, even if it's free, do it, because you're developing your talent.
Exactly.
Okay.
Great words. Good question.
His name was Clay Anderson. It was his name.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Good question, Drew. Good question.
And
Diane, come on in, baby.
Well, I want to add to that. When I was on the road, and I just happened to be in Alabama at that time, I called Eddie, and I think he was still in Detroit. And I was like, Eddie, man, they're beating me out here. And he said, little brother, I just left the Temptations, and all I got is a few houses and a couple $100,000. After he told me that, I shut up and kept going.
Right. Somebody's always got it worse than you. Yeah.
What do I have coming?
Right. Go ahead, Di.
Now, Michael, you say it says that you were on the stage. How did you get to be on the stage in the plays that you were in? Because some of them I saw in New York. I went and saw them in New York, like the Tap Dance Kid. I saw that one. Saw Dream Girls.
Yeah, well, the community theaters in Caramel, that's your oldest black theater, the Caramel. You can buy those properties. I think they cost like maybe $10,000 or something like that to actually do them. The the Tap Dance Kid and also Dream Girls, I got called in at the last minute, like a week or two before the show would open. So I had a reputation of being able to learn blocking and lines and music, like rather rapidly. Because I was Curtis in Dreamgirls. I took someone's place that thought they couldn't be replaced. So the executive director called me and said, Michael, and I just have a bond. I had a bond with her, Margaret Ford Taylor. I had a bond with her. So anything Margaret would ask me to do, I'm coming through and I'm going to make sure it goes down. So I did those plays, and then I did Tracers. That's about the young soldiers' experience in Vietnam. That was a very strong piece. In fact, they brought vets in, to see it, and the reaction was like, wow, like some of them were still there. So I was fortunate to be able to be in some good plays at the community theater, and then that led to me doing film. I was an extra in Antoine Fisher. Before Antoine Fisher, I had produced a short and got it into a Cleveland Film Festival here called The Visit. And let's see, what else do we have? I was in the movie, the first hip-hop movie to be shown at Sundance Film Festival was called Hip Hop for Life. I was in that movie. It couldn't compete because we premiered it here in Cleveland. In Sundance, you can't premiere any movie. It has to be premiered there in order to compete. So I was in that. And then during the Blockbuster days, I was in, the Hip Hop for Life, that was in Blockbuster. And then I did film in my adopted nephew, Corey Grant. I did Hip Hop Task Force, which we shot that through Baltimore, DC area. That went to Blockbuster. Then I went out to LA to do the second installment, which was called Studio. I did that. And currently, I'm on Tubi in a movie called Out of Time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Out of Time. It's a great movie. It's of a universal subject. I'm proud to be a member of that cast because the cast is perfect and there's layers to the stories. I was in the movie and it went to the premiere, but I didn't tear up until I saw it on TV. And I was in it.
Awesome.
Time Out.
That's awesome. That's
awesome. Done by the Art of Me production.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That is awesome. If
wait a minute, do you know about the fortune that the Sly, Slick, and Wicked had after I left the group, right, years later?
Go ahead. Tell us about it.
Well, what occurred, as John tells me, he got a phone call. John is Sly. He got a phone call from England. It was a radio show on, it was like, guess where this song comes from? And it was the Justin Timberlake comeback song. What was that song called? You remember? The big comeback. It had more downloads.
Sexy Back?
Well, what is it?
Sexy Back?
No, this was when but anyway, it was a Sly, Slick, and Wicked song they sampled.
Oh, okay.
And they sued them. And they sued them and they won.
Oh, okay. I'm talking about Sly, Slick, and Wicked.
Yeah, it came back later.
Awesome.
After I was out the group, after about 3750.
You should have stayed a little longer.
No. They tried to, because they tried to get me to sign. Well, the guys weren't handling anything. It was the Chicago people, Chicago.
Yeah.
And they tried to get me to sign a contract. And the moment I said, man, I'm not going to sign a contract until I let my lawyer read it. And you got that dramatic scene. Oh, man, every time you're trying to help somebody, man, they don't that. I said, man, look, I'm going to let my lawyer read it.
Man. That's awesome. You have a what they call a storied career. a storied career with, I mean, just doing a little bit of everything and doing everything. And it's awesome. If you could grab one young person today, sit them down and talk to you, and you talk to them and they listen, what advice would you give them on starting out in this business?
I would say today, learn this content marketing and learn really what branding is. That's my main advice. Learn. Don't guess at it, because if you guess at a concept, you can become discouraged with it if you don't fully understand that concept.
True.
Or you won't get the results that you need, that you're looking for, if you don't really understand the concept or how to work with that concept. Most people think branding is what you do, and it's not. Branding is what you represent. And what you represent, what you do visually, must be consistent with that you say that you're about. So it's just like, it's a million people that can sing. I mean, people now are getting 1 million followers from just pantomiming. Okay? So to cut through it and make it a niche market, that's what branding is about. It's to float you through the internet. Like, for instance, and then out of that comes a tagline. Let's say Nike. What does their brand say? Let's do it.
Right.
Motown. Sound of Young America. So what happens, your brand helps you get your target audience and you go for it. But don't guess at content marketing. Really, really don't do it now. It's a different playing field now. And another thing, listen, do not pattern yourself after what's happening on the radio. It's open now. They were holding creativity hostage, these corporations. Now you're free. The middleman is out. This is the best time in the world to be an artist. So understand, study anything you don't know. They used to tell me what I had learned may become passé. Make the library your friend, because anything you want to know how to do, it's in there. Now, Google it.
Right. Yeah. Great advice, man. Great advice. Great advice. And thank you for going the extra mile to explain what you meant about that. Because in this hour, we talk so much, and I mean, it's a lot of fun, and we get some facts and figures out. But some of the viewing audience doesn't have the time to ask the question that you explained. So I appreciate you going the extra mile and explaining what that meant, what your version of that meant. I appreciate that. I really do. Drew, you got something?
Yes. So Michael, what are you working on now that you can share with us? Are you you mentioned the movie on Tubi? Is there any other plays, documentaries, or even recordings?
Here's where I am now. As far as a project goes, I think my next big project will be a music series. In 2003, I began preparing to attempt to get a reality show, because I started to see actors singing, and I cognited, became aware, okay, if you have the audience, just do what you do. So, and the reality shows, they weren't really in, but I saw that as a good marketing tool. You see what I'm saying? So I began to shoot. I shot for 3 years, and I have so much footage, so I'm going to put that together. And a lot of it is a history here. I went back to pull guys out from like the 60s that's not here any longer. And then I was very instrumental in hip hop. In fact, I'm a member of the Temple of Hip Hop with KRS-One. I told KRS-One when he was young that no matter what happens to him in the business, that he was going to be a leader for his people. I brought him to Cleveland right
Wow.
after Scott LaRock was murdered, and I had
Yes.
him in concert, him and Miss Melody, and
Yeah.
we had a chance to talk. And then when we were doing the film Hip Hop for Life, I was going to try to get him involved in the film because during my hip hop camp, two rappers from the Bronx who were actually his dancers were also like with my company at that time. So I was involved in hip hop. So I got all that footage and the things that we were trying to do. So I'm going to do that series. Now,
Okay.
I have a song on all platforms called Ode, ODE. For me now, remember I was saying as an artist, it's important for me to communicate survival, pro-survival realities into that where I see it's not. And so what I decided to do, because for some reason, I don't know how much propaganda it is, but it seems to be a bridge or a ridge between black women and black men. So what I decided to do was write a song called Ode that honors the black woman in the spirit that she is, even if her self-esteem is low. If she listens to this song, I promise you it would be elevating. And at the same time, it is saying to the black man, this really who she is. You got to see her through the proper lens. Because believe it or not, you're not whole. You're not whole until you get that relationship. You can't be the man you think you are. You know, but you know, I wrote it because it's you know, and right now the sexual thing is, you know, very diverse now.
Yeah.
So most people, what I can say about a woman, they may say, well, I can get that from a guy. But in the case of what we're dealing with socially, my music will address only that which is social, something that I'll be able to sing about and something that I'll be able to speak about. And I'm not looking for a record deal. For me now, my mission is to serve my people the best I can. And looking at the climate in the country, it's like the ancestors are beating me up, pulling me. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Okay.
Mhm.
What's the name of the song again, Michael?
It's called
What's the name of the
Ode,
song?
ODE. Yeah,
ODE.
and my name on it is He's Peerless, HESPEERLESS, like no peer group. He's
Right.
peerless.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yes.
the song is ODE.
Right.
Oh, ODE.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And it's available on all platforms, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And when you get a moment, I sent it to you, Ali, didn't I?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Share.
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Yeah. I got back to you on my thoughts on it. I did not
Okay.
share it with the group because you had told me not to do that. I didn't share it with the group. But
Oh no, you could have shared it with the group.
I didn't know that.
Okay.
I didn't
Oh
know that.
yeah. Oh yeah. Share it, share. The message is what it's about for me.
Okay.
For
Okay.
this, it's about the message. The message is needed.
How about performance-wise, Michael? Do you
Performance
plan
wise,
on performing the song?
I'm gonna actually come out next year. The way social media is and everything now, I'm actually gonna do a show, have it filmed properly, because now that it's almost like it's your audition piece. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if people want to book me, you know, and I'm pretty sure we'll get some stuff going because on that stage I'm at home. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
need bells and whistles. I
Yeah.
don't need
So,
bells and whistles.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That's true talent. Come on in, Di. You got something, Ray?
What do you think about the state of black music now?
I think black music is regurgitating.
ooh.
That's what I think.
Can you
To
explain?
me, it has not progressed. Even the jazz. And I can almost say, but that would start another conversation. It's been strategically done. For me, what we call Afro beats, artists such as Wiz Kid, Burna Boy, these artists coming out of Africa are the ones that's touching me because it seems like the blackness. See, I like when we had black music. It had a certain feel and everything to it. The blackness is there. That soul is there. Like everything that we did here progressively as far as music, they took it. We influenced them, and then they took it and put it in a melting pot where all our blackness is in it, even if they do pop. You see what I'm saying? They just make me jealous I don't have my original language, because I really be popping on them then.
Okay. All right.
But that music, but I don't hear anything here. I don't hear any music of consequence.
Okay.
I don't. And then as far as radio goes, we know that's controlled by corporations. So what we hear, that's all about money. That's why the internet and what you guys are doing is so important. You know, you're immortalizing our history.
Okay.
And that's important. And good music, what is it? It's a little post or meme that goes around. Yeah, good music has no expiration date. So we'll be finding ourselves going back to the stuff that used to be recorded, because they got a conversation about who's the king of R&B. Sit down. From R. Kelly all the way down through that era, that's pop influence. I don't hear soul blackness in it at all.
Okay.
Man, and they tell us what it is. We take it and go, that's what it is.
Right. Wow. I really, really appreciate not only you saying that, and that was a good question, Diane. Good question, Drew. Not only you saying it, but I appreciate the fact that you're explaining what you mean by that, because that a lot of people will say, "Well, what do you mean by?" But you're explaining, and I think that's awesome. I really think that's awesome. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I think I try to give points because there's a lot of conversation without us being specific about it. You know?
Yeah. But then also there's a lot of time frame that unless you have a forum like this, you can't really expect, because you're on stage performing, you do your number, you get off and go home. I do my show, I do my number, I get off and I go home. Forums like this or situations like this is where you can now, pull the teapot back and let all the aroma come out, and we all enjoy it.
That's what I said. This is the greatest time in the world to be an artist or to be anything, you know? And when we talk about money and capital like that, I remember when I was introduced to content marketing about 15 years ago, it was this guy, and he was going and getting money from the private sector. He was getting millions, and millions, and he kept losing it. And I was like, man, there's a lot of money out there. So finally they came up with something that they were going to, for the internet. And he came home one day and his wife was crying, watching the television. He said, what's the matter? And the thing that they were going to make some money off of, who was it? It wasn't Google. It was this other company. They came out with it and was giving it away free. So they lost the money, but they were able to keep going back. And one thing he said, that we haven't even been able to, to even scratch the surface.
Right.
In terms of the capital that's available to us. We just have to figure out what our brand is, and it should answer the question, why do people need what you have to offer in their lives?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's a good question. And when you come up with that answer, that's a wonderful, wonderful answer.
And that's you on your way with your brand. You're on your way.
Yeah. Well, my brother, I as they say, all good things must come to an end, and so must this show. But I certainly do appreciate. So we're going to go around the room and let Drew and Dee Dee say their goodbyes in the way that they want to. Drew, go ahead.
Yeah, Michael, thank you so very much for joining us and for disseminating this important information about the music industry in general, man. You're an encyclopedia of knowledge. Please, sir, keep us abreast on any upcoming projects, plays, music, recordings, man, so we can come out and support you. You got 3 supporters right here, automatically. We wish you continued success, sir, and please keep us abreast.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you need to come back for part 2 as well.
I thank you guys for having me. I was just running my mouth, but anyway, the vibration is real good.
Ooh.
We're family. This is the
Absolutely.
Yes.
beginning.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
As I keep living, I have more to talk about. All right,
There you
Absolutely.
go. That's a
more
bet.
stories.
That's a
Absolutely.
bet.
Absolutely.
All
Go
right, be
ahead,
well.
DD.
Miss Michael,
Oh,
it was a pleasure talking to you, listening to you. You know, I learned a lot that I didn't know. You know, I've heard stories, but to hear it from somebody who lived through it, it's a big
Yes.
difference. But I wish
Yes.
you much continued success. And I'm going to go turn on Tubi and look at Out of Time.
right, and share old with them. Hey, thank you guys so much. Lovely evening. Thank you much. I appreciate you.
My
Thank you,
brother,
sir.
we've been excuse me, we've been talking a little bit back and forth, and we will continue because I want to stay abreast, like Drew said, of what's going on, so I can pass it on to everybody here. And I don't know when, but hopefully sometime we'll be able to shake hands personally and maybe just break a piece of bread together or something other, because we like to do that. We definitely like to do that. If there's anything possibly that you may need from music lovers or myself and Drew and Diane, all you gotta do is pick up the phone. We're right
I
here.
do.
We're right here.
I do. I need it right now. Keep
Uh-oh.
the show going.
Thank you, my brother.
That's
Thank
what I
you.
need.
Thank
Be
you.
well. Thank
Thank
you
you.
all.
Thank you. Thank
Bye
you.
now.
Appreciate that. All right. Well,
Thank
ladies
you.
and gentlemen, again, Mr. Michael Bell, we're terribly sorry about the video, but he's given a challenge that you watch this and you try to figure out what he looks like. You know what I'm saying? So we'll go with that.
Yeah,
But he
put
was
me on
here
the good
earlier.
side though. Put me on.
Huh?
You don't have to give me Denzel, but make me close.
as you can tell, he has a great sense of humor, a great sense of
Yes, he
humor.
does.
But this has been Mr. Michael Bell with us, and we're going to talk to him about possibly coming on again and hanging out with us and what have you. But for all of you guys that are out there listening and watching, thank you, thank you, thank you. Be sure and keep your radio, turn your radio on for at WPPM 106.5 FM or phillycam.org/listen tonight. From 10 p.m. tonight until 2 a.m., yours truly will be bringing you back the oldies, good memories, and what a way to start your Saturday morning, huh? Tune it in from 10 p.m. until 2 a.m. Next week on my TV show, Salt, Pepper, and Memories, which comes on Wednesday evening, Miss Khadijah Renee is my special guest. She is a local jazz vocalist, and she does one heck of a job. Be sure and check that out. Thursday night on the radio show is Halloween show on rememberthenradio.com. That's the Halloween show. Music lovers, we're taking 2 weeks off. Tonight is we won't be back until November the 14th because next week is Halloween and Drew already's got his costume out. He's gonna go get some candy, so we won't have everybody here. You know. So we're gonna take off next week, and the following week I've got something that I've got to make sure that I attend to. So when we come back on November the 14th, our guest is going to be Reverend Joe Williams, the last living member of the Dixie Hummingbirds. So he's going to be our guest on the 14th. So be sure and tune in then. Everybody have a great weekend. Happy Halloween to each and every one of you. Look out for the brand new show that's coming your area called Edutainment, which is coming soon. Again, have a great weekend. We love you all. Everybody have a good night and a good weekend.
Good night.
See you.
All right.
Let me get that music back on. We got to go out with the music. All right. There you go. Damn the Golden Oldies Man. Lady G, Robin, Ramona. Oh, remember Mr. Kevin Powell. Happy belated birthday. Karen, Casper, George. Thank you so much for joining us. Everybody take care. See you now.